In a quiet town nestled between rolling hills and a calm lake, lived a respected psychologist known as Dr. Lifebloom. She was the person everyone turned to, a beacon of calm in their stormy lives. Her office was a sanctuary, filled with soothing colors and the gentle scent of lavender. People left her sessions feeling lighter, armed with strategies to face their anxieties and sadness. But behind the calm demeanor and wise advice, Dr. Lifebloom was wrestling with her own shadows. The weight of her patients' stories, combined with a deep-seated personal melancholy, had begun to cast a long, dark cloud over her own life. Each morning she would wake up feeling a familiar heaviness, a fog that wouldn't lift. She'd go through the motions brewing coffee, reading the news, but the joy was gone. It was like watching her own life on a muted television screen. She knew all the theories, all the techniques for improving mental well-being. She'd spent her career teaching them. Cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness, journaling, she'd recommended them all. Yet, when it came to her own mind, she felt like a mechanic whose own car wouldn't start. The irony was not lost on her. She felt like a fraud, guiding others out of a maze she was lost in herself. One rainy Tuesday, as she stared out her window at the dreary street, a memory surfaced. It was a simple image of her grandfather, a man with a weathered face and a perpetually cheerful spirit. He had a non-negotiable morning ritual, a walk, rain or shine. He used to say, "The world wakes up with you if you just go out to meet it." He wasn't a psychologist, he was a gardener. But his wisdom felt more profound than any textbook she'd ever read. That simple memory planted a seed of an idea. Could it really be that simple? A walk? It felt almost too basic, too trivial for the complex fog she was in. But she was desperate. She decided to try it. Just a walk. No pressure, no expectations. The next morning, her alarm went off before sunrise. The familiar dread washed over her. Her bed felt like a warm, safe cocoon, and the thought of leaving it was physically painful. Every cell in her body screamed, "Go back to sleep." But the image of her grandfather's smiling face pushed her forward. She put on her sneakers, her feet feeling like lead, and stepped out into the pre-dawn chill. The streets were empty and silent. Her first walk was just 15 minutes around the block. It was awkward and uncomfortable. Her mind raced with self-doubt. "This is pointless," it told her. "You're just tired and cold." She came home feeling no different, maybe even a little worse for the effort, but she had promised herself 2 weeks. So the next day she did it again, and the next. The first few days were a battle. Her mind was a noisy battlefield of negativity. But around day 5, something shifted. As she walked, she started to notice things she'd never seen before. The way the first rays of sun painted the edges of the clouds a soft pink. The intricate pattern of a spider's web, glistening with dew. The cheerful chirp of a single bird heralding the new day. These weren't grand revelations, just tiny moments of beauty. She wasn't trying to be mindful, it was just happening. Her focus started to shift from the noise in her head to the world around her. By the end of the first week, her 15-minute walk had stretched to 30. She found a path that led into a small wooded area near her home. The scent of damp earth and pine needles was invigorating. Instead of her thoughts consuming her, she was consuming the sensory details of the forest. The crunch of leaves under her feet, the cool air on her skin, the sight of a squirrel scampering up a tree. These simple inputs were crowding out the negative feedback loop in her brain. She started to feel a flicker of something she hadn't felt in a long time. Curiosity. The beginning of the second week marked a turning point. She woke up not with dread, but with a neutral feeling, which was a monumental improvement. The walk was no longer a chore, but a quiet appointment with herself. She realized she wasn't just walking, she was creating a space. A space between the world's demands and her own inner peace. A space for her mind to breathe before the day's pressures began. During one walk, she sat on a bench overlooking the lake. As the sun rose, casting a golden path across the water, a profound sense of calm washed over her. It wasn't a euphoric high, but a gentle, steady sense of okayness. She finally understood what her grandfather meant. The world was waking up, and for the first time in a long time, she felt like she was waking up with it. On the 14th day, she woke up before her alarm. There was no fog. She looked out the window and felt a gentle pull to go outside. As she walked her now familiar path, she reflected on the past 2 weeks. The change was subtle yet transformative. It wasn't that her problems had vanished. The weight of her work was still there, and life's challenges hadn't disappeared. But her capacity to handle them had grown. The walk had created a buffer. It was a daily dose of resilience, a reminder that even after the darkest night, the sun always rises. Dr. Lifebloom returned to her office that day with a new perspective. She still had all her clinical knowledge, but now she had a new, deeply personal tool to share. When a new patient came in, overwhelmed by the grayness of their life, she listened with her usual empathy. She offered her professional strategies, but then she added something new. She told them a simple story, not about a famous psychologist, but about her grandfather, the gardener. She told them about the simple, profound power of a morning walk. She wasn't prescribing a cure. She was sharing a possibility. A possibility of finding light, not by chasing away the darkness, but by simply stepping outside to greet the dawn. It was the most honest and powerful advice she had ever given. Thank you for watching.